All right, second period. Final job today before you start your summative exit ticket is to flip to page 11 in your question booklet. Have your reading side by side, and we're going to answer some of these questions. Now, you're going to want to slow down and do this on your own. I'm going to read the questions out loud so you can hear them verbally as you work. Please make sure you stop this video for each question, or you can listen to the whole thing and then go back and answer these questions. Number 1, draw a timeline documenting the major events that the author describes in her summary of anti-Judaism. So you're going to take the earliest event and put it on the timeline first, and then the last event and put it on the timeline at the end, and then put the rest of the events in order. Number 2, for what reason were Jews viewed as a threat or the other by the Romans? For this question, reference paragraph 2 through 4. So I'm going to go over here, find paragraph 2, 3, and 4, and use those paragraphs to answer that question. Number 3, in the first several decades after the death of Jesus, why did Christians try to separate themselves from other Jews? What were the consequences for the Jewish population? How might defining the other have helped Christians strengthen their own identity? For this question, I'm going to look back at paragraphs 5 through 7. So I'm starting here, paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. I want to think in this question, why are Christians trying to separate themselves from Jewish people? What's the purpose of that? And how does that have consequences for the Jewish population? Number 4, what is a scapegoat? What purpose do scapegoats serve for communities that have suffered some kind of misfortune? For what events did Christians use Jews as scapegoats in the Middle Ages? I'm going to use paragraphs 7 through 10 here. So I go back, I find 7, 8, 9, and 10, and I'll refer to these paragraphs. What are the events Christians are using Jews as a scapegoat for? What events are Christians blaming on Jews? And why? What's the purpose of that? Number 5. The author tells us that in the 16th century, Jews began to be regarded as tainted by Jewish blood. What does that mean? I'm going to revisit paragraph 9. And number 6, here we're making a connection. What in-groups and out-groups existed in the Roman Empire? How does this connect to the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment? So when we think about in-groups and out-groups, you might want to think, there she is, Boomy, you gotta move. You might want to think, little cat, ow. Okay, we're gonna throw her on the floor. She's okay. We're thinking about we and they groups, right? So who in the Roman Empire was considered part of the we group? And who in the Roman Empire was considered part of the they group? And what is the relationship there? How is that similar to the blue-eyed and brown-eyed experiment? Take your time going through these questions. When you finish answering these questions, you're going to be ready to take your summative.